Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the afternoon session as we get set for qualifying with 206 cadets, sportsmen, and several other classes here back for the Indy Karting Challenge live on Kart Chaser. Taylor Burris here along with Justin Prince as we get set to see the action here today. Justin, a lot of great racing we saw this morning, a little bit of chaos, but we're now back at it and ready to go once again for the afternoon races.
And we have plenty of classes on the docket ready to prove what they can do. We have Cadet, Sportsman, Masters, KA Juniors, Senior Lights, maybe a little Kid Kart mixed in as well. It's a lot of classes ready to go as I think some bugs are saying hello to our camera right now, trying to say they're excited too.
I know yesterday we had a giant wasp land on that camera during one of the streams, and let's just say we got a up-close and personal look at the wasp as it got on our camera. But 10 seconds left to go before we get set for your 206 cadet qualifying. Once we wrap up qualifying for the afternoon session, we'll take a quick 10-minute break, come back for heat races before we're back at it once again for the feature races this afternoon, as gates should be open and time to get set and ready to go for qualifying today.
Indeed, and reminder once again, the reason I split up in the phrasing, the cadet and sportsman, they are split up for the day today. So it's going to be the matter of how they race things out. Kason Hendrickson had been the top of the board in their combined grouping earlier on today. He is one of the sportsmen. James Fox and Grayson Wyatt are back again to race in the afternoon. They were 1-2 in cadet. Looks like we're all set to go.
Absolutely. James Fox looking to make it a hat trick, pretty much go for 4 wins this weekend, as he is looking to win, of course, the 206 sportsman race, as he's looking to do so. Of course, he did win the races earlier today in the micro category. Of course, we saw him do both of those races yesterday in both 206 and micro to win his races, and looking to finally cap it off with a final win today.
Going to be an interesting time for these drivers where the clouds have seemingly settled over the racetrack. It's still pretty hot based on the discussions with crew members across the racetrack here today. K1 Circuit Whiteland. For those wondering what went in the end, is temperatures 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Not too humid, still 58% humidity, but it's still pretty blistering hot. Those karts and those drivers gonna have to make sure they keep themselves cool and hydrated, hopefully keep themselves hydrated during the lunch break and so far throughout the afternoon sessions for today's action.
Currently, right now, it's 88 degrees with a high of 89, kicking off around 3 o'clock. Winds coming in at about 12 miles an hour out of the southwest direction. And, of course, we are expecting a heat index of 92 degrees. As the first opening laps are kicking off, it is James Fox at the top of the leaderboard by about a tenth of a second over his teammate Grayson Wyatt as they work their way through. The two top kart teammates back at it once again. Grayson up in the second place position on track, with Fox leading the charge as they head up through Daytona. Saw some great racing, of course, with our cadet category yesterday amongst the two drivers, especially in the heat race, where Grayson Wyatt got the heat race win over his teammate of Fox, but Fox was able to capitalize and come back in the feature race.
Going to be where some of these drivers are looking to perform well. Always love the look where Maxwell tries to stand out with the helmet yet again. I swear that mohawk on the helmet of the 141 just keeps growing every single week. Hey, it's changing colors too. I know it was all blue the last time I called action here at the racetrack. Going with a rainbow look, it looks like. All sorts of colors.
Well, the Mohawk man himself, Diesel Maxwell, really easy to point him out on the racetrack. Just follow the bouncing Mohawk that's all around the circuit, and there you see him right there driving a Lando Norris kart in the cadet category. Currently sits P4, about 4/10 of a second off the pace of your race pole position sitter of James Fox. McNeely moves up to second as well with 2 minutes to go in qualifying.
Yeah, McNeely in this class also has looked pretty solid whenever we've seen that machine in the cadets so far this season. Mind you, McNeely second in the point standings, however, is still a fair ways back because with the drop even factored in, he missed one round. So no matter what, his drops are basically burned up because the other round he would have a drop. There was a disqualification day with him and James Fox both receiving disqualifications back in race number 4 of the season. So quite simply, for McNeely to close up with the championship, that 538 has to start winning. It has to start winning now, and the tough thing's going to be actually keeping up with those setting the blistering pace. Maxwell, meanwhile, upsetting things a little bit. Still in 8/1000th of a second of the pole with less than a minute to go.
He's going to try something here, as there you see I believe that's the 95 of Hendrickson, who ended up winning in one of the classes here today. He's also looking to go for 2 wins today. As they come across the line, it is still James Fox with the pole time of a 58.747. Then, of course, it is Maxwell second, McNeely third, Hendrickson, Wyatt dropping all the way back to P5 at the moment, Bo Laser, and Atria Rittenhouse, and Miles Hale. It's got a little bit of work to do for those 3, as they have not crossed over the 1 minute mark here today. So hopefully they can find a little bit of extra oomph to get around the circuit and try to get under a 1 minute lap.
Yeah, that's going to be the tough thing for those drivers, is being able to find something when the kart's just not giving it to you in the early going here. But some of these drivers starting to compress as the clock reaches zeros. Should be end of session for these drivers. Can anyone match the 58.7 from James Fox? Fox goes even quicker by 0.3 of a second.
Across the line, no one improves. Hendrickson improves his lap, but does not improve his position. It is James Fox who will lead us to the green flag with a 58.433.
Impressive start to the sessions here, as now it's the matter of seeing how the rest of these drivers stack up in these next sessions.
Absolutely, as we get set here to go for your 206 Sportsman division, as we get set here on our competition in qualifying. Yesterday in the 206 Sportsman category, we saw Austin Taylor, who made his debut, put on a stellar drive to take home the win in the 206 Sportsman category. Looking to see if he joins us here today and see if he can go back-to-back in your Sportsman category, as we wait a couple of seconds here for the last remaining karts to exit off the circuit. As race officials will then open the gates and release our drivers out onto the circuit.
Yeah, of course, have to make sure everyone gets off the racetrack nice and efficiently. Don't want to end up having overlapping classes by accident, especially where the pit entry and exit can be around this racetrack. So it's all about making sure you get the coordination down. But speaking of coordination, these Sportsman drivers are ready to try and coordinate where they're going to battle it out on the track here, their respective class. And a lot of the contenders in this series just so happen to be the contenders we've seen from this morning, including drivers like Martinez, like Semenelek, like Christopher Heinzen, who's looked pretty competitive in the point standings. A lot of drivers here and a lot of part-timers have made spot starts in this series.
Absolutely, as they head out onto the track here to start qualifying. There you see Kason Hendrickson out there getting set to run his qualifying attempt. Heinzen, and got a couple of new drivers, Lincoln Wiley, coming out to join us here for the day. Waiting to see if we have any more. I see a total of 3 karts. There's Leah Semenelek. A couple of others are finally now heading out onto the track. He will work his way through. So looks to be 4 for our 206 Sportsman division.
Yeah, I think not too many karts in this class here today, but this championship going to be interesting where things now shake up, since one of the drivers, especially the points leader, Martinez, Doesn't appear to be one of those karts on the racetrack. And that 38 machine had won 3 times this season in finals. So things are going to change a little bit here today, this running order, and with these drivers here and a chance for Huntington to try and get their first win of the season.
Absolutely. We could see ourselves a new race winner here. Of course, Heinzen, looking to take home his first win of the season in the 206 Sportsman, along with Hendrickson, who did end up winning a race today, looking to go for 2 wins for him this afternoon as he tries to lead the charge and currently has a little bit of work to do, about a 10th off the pace right now in qualifying. Leah Simonelli also looking for his first win, and Lincoln Wiley, who we see compete in previous rounds of the championship, looking to try to maybe get a little bit of learning surely out there and hopefully make some improvements to be up to pace with your top 3.
Yeah, that's going to be where the learning's so critical, to be able to adapt as the weekend goes on, to be able to find those fine-tuned adjustments, and as parents and crew members learn things, be able to help their respective drivers know what they have to do to be able to drive these karts and find that extra bit of speed. Hendrickson looking blistering quick in terms of the opening lap so far, though. Going to make things much more difficult here. That 2 machine rapidly quick, and we've only seen that car twice. 2 fifth-place finishes in finals this season for the 2 car.
And as they continue to work their way around the circuit, there you see the MPG machine, the 767 machine of Christopher Heinzen, as he'll come out here and try to work his way around the circuit. Got to pick up about 0.8 of a second on your pole position of Kason Hendrickson. So far, is going to work out. Maybe he's got a good couple of runs coming through in that MPG Kart Republic. As he does so out of the final couple of corners, really good run across the line. Does not improve, though. Had a little bit of an issue somewhere in the early opening lap stage of this lap, but Hendrickson improves to a 57.778, putting him half a second ahead of Leah Simonelli.
Yeah, right now just looking good for Hendrickson. Simonelli, we've seen flashes of speed earlier in the day when it came to the respective kart. And when you think about it, sometimes it's important. It's really important, actually, on car choice in terms of what you have in the motor, what the experience is for the kart, believe it or not, because sometimes you have drivers like in the Masters, for example, who pick up used karts for some of the national teams. So it's about finding the right kart for you, while also finding the right partnership or an organization, too, that can really help you long-term to be able to learn things in the respective karts here. Still less than a minute to work with in the session.
Certainly less than a minute to go as they work their way around the circuit. Was Wiley, as Heinzen really falling off the pace here big time, as Lincoln Wiley picks up quite a bit of margin. Hendrickson improves upon his lap time as they work their way through the circuit. And as they approach up towards the double hairpins, we're going to find out to see how this all works out for him with 20 seconds to go. Hendrickson has still a 0.2 of a second advantage over Leah Simonelli as they work their way across the start-finish line momentarily.
Yeah. Right now just in great spots to finish out strong for the session, should say. And one of the things was doing the research is to check flag waves on drivers like Kason Hendrickson amongst those that has shown rapid speed here today in both his classes. It's one of those that ended up having eye issues since birth, cataracts at one point in both eyes, has struggled with it wildly in terms of that, had a patches eye at one point. And despite the eye issues, he's showed speed all season, shows speed here to start off this class.
And with that, now it's time to get set for your 206 Masters division. Yesterday, we saw some exciting racing in your 206 Masters. McCorkadale and company really putting on a stellar drive in your 206 Masters. He still, of course, is your championship leader. But I got to say, watch out for Troy Tony and Derek Hastings and company. They are really going to be ones to watch here today.
This is going to be an interesting grouping once again for these drivers for the Masters. And so far, when it comes to those Masters, McCorkindale wants the most consistent. You look at some of the previous standings coming into today. Now it's going to be the matter of who has the most consistency. Earlier today in the warm-up sessions, it was McCorkindale who did cork out a great time over Tony. I think that yellow cart has the chance to be able to pull some rapid speed. Mind you, drivers like J. Brian Williams were DNSs in the 206 Masters earlier today in practice.
And as they make their way out onto the circuit, Corkdale looking to continue on with a strong run here today as he will lead us with the first opening round of qualifying for your 206 Masters. Simonellic right there behind. We saw him earlier today competing in the KA Senior category. Tyler Demon, along with several others, now making their way on the track. A couple of drivers missing their transponders, at least not showing just yet. We'll give them a couple of moments here to get themselves ready to go as they make their way through the double hairpins and head on down with 4 minutes plus this conclusion in qualifying as Simonellic and Hamble joining us. So 5 karts by the look of it here in this qualifying session.
Decent amount as Corkdale gets the slide out of the cart to be able to make sure the rear tires start to build up temperature here. And we talked about this in the previous qualifying session. It's all about finding the optimal window of your tires to be able to set the fastest times possible. It's so critical to get that timing just right. And as some of the first times come on through, one driver does have a transponder, and guess what? It's J. Brian Williams. He is inedible when it comes to what we've seen from him so far this weekend. Another fast time to start things off for a driver who ran away 9+ seconds earlier this morning.
All right, we're going to have to put a bounty on Brian Williams because no one seems to have anything for him. Evan McCorkindale is going to try to see what he can do with a 10th of a second behind in qualifying. As with 3 minutes to go, they'll come out of Daytona, making the charge down into the hairpin. Big slide right there. There you see Brian Williams right behind as well as they work their way through the infield section. And continues on, but McCorkindale and that all-yellow machine comes out through the final couple of corners and across the line. Let's see if he can improve. 57.48. And Brian Williams responds with a 57.08, a half a second faster than your race lead or your on-track leader with Evan McCorkindale, and no changes whatsoever amongst the field. Tyler Demon has not improved on his lap time as Scott Hamble crosses the line. He improves, still sitting P4.
These drivers showing different rates of speed, obviously, around here, but J. Brian Williams flying. McCorkindale needs to find half a second if he wants to be able to control things from the point. Right now, J. Brian Williams, believe amongst those in the draft at the moment. It's just working smoothly around this racetrack in that 75. Has a partner to work with right now in Simonellic, just falling on behind. Having that partner is so critical in some of these circumstances here if you want to be able to put down times. This time by, no improvement. I think they're already passing that tire peak here.
I think so indeed as well, because McCorkindale does improve a little bit as well. Still about 0.08 of a second behind Brian Williams for the moment. He is trying to improve upon it, but so far not going to play out in his favor as we watch Brian Williams coming out of that second hairpin. I think he lost a little bit of help from the trap that he's getting from behind of the 412 of Kevin Simonellic as they make their way through the bus stop over to the Daytona corner.
Yeah, it's just smooth as can be here. Simonellic, mind you, was amongst those drivers coming off that street race we were alluding to at Elkhart Grand Prix back at the start of the month. Kevin had said, since his son also races, that karting is all about family. It is about being friends. And his son had also mentioned he likes racing because the ability to race with his dad. So you have to remember, for many of these drivers, racing is about being able to connect with family members, and we're seeing multiple layers of family members racing throughout this afternoon as they circulate around these racetrack coordinates here today.
Absolutely. McCorkadale does set the new fastest lap of the race with a 57.07, and he is really showcasing 8 thousandths of a second ahead of Brian Williams, as those two will try to go back and forth. Coming here up on the checkered flag, though, to conclude your qualifying in the 206 Masters. And as they come out onto the front straightaway, checkered flag in the air. No improvement for McCorkadale. Does anyone have anything as Brian Williams? No improvement. McCorkadale will take over the pole position on the closing laps to get pole position in your 206 Masters.
Great racing here today and great qualifying as some of the various times overlap for whatever reason. But I will say this, McCorkadale able to cork out a fast time at the closing stages, 57.072. It's going to be an interesting race. Top three all separated by 36 one-thousandths of a second on lap times, as the times seem to be going down, but they timed it up to be able to optimize for the fourth lap after slowing down to cool down the tires for the second and third.
Indeed, as now next up to go out onto the track is your KA Junior category. KA Juniors had a great race yesterday as well, putting on a stellar drive. And yesterday in the KA Junior category, it was Andrew Avelos who captured the win in an exciting faction, as he is looking forward to try to capture another win today to go back-to-back in the KA category on Sunday here. Of course, we touched on Lucian Laser is your points leader at the moment. I'm pretty sure, though, after that race we saw yesterday, its standings will have changed just a little bit. We take a look at the championship standings for your KA Junior. It is now Mason Galen who takes over the points lead after yesterday's race.
Yeah, championship battle starting to brew as a result of how things have gone so far. And the KA's put on some fantastic races so far. Keep in mind, Laser's drop round actually ended up on top of being his first round of the season. Being that last race, that's how it went for the 800 yesterday. So will Laser be able to respond back with a decent performance? He has a couple finals wins on the season. It's going to be important to bounce back if he wants those points to swing back his way. He'll need a big swing at that too, because even if there was a win today, say Gallion gets a podium, that swing's only a 25 difference. It would still be the 64 at the top of the pylon based on the overall totals. With the drop, the separation is 14 with the total to count. So it gets even more critical. One spot difference could swing the momentum back the way of the 800 if they get a win today.
Absolutely. And of course, just as a reminder, they do get 2 drop races for this season as well, because looking at it right now, we see that Mason Galion has dropped the first 2 rounds of the championship, while Laser has dropped the first round and yesterday's round in the championship hunt, while Andrew Avelos dropped rounds 5 and 6 since he did not attend, along with Evan Patton, as they are going to see how this will all play out here with 3 minutes to go here coming around the circuit. It's Nolan Wade who sets fast time. How about Elijah Matson-Vegas, who also sets a good time here with a 53.60 and a 53.61.4 as they work their way around. 3 minutes to go, and let's see how is this going to improve upon with the pole qualifying coming out of the final couple of corners here across the start-finish line. It is going to be Mason Galion with a 52.07. Avelos moves up to P2, while Matson Vegas drops to P3. Mason Ward up P4. And Ryan Mort to the top with a 51.69. We know he's a major factor competing here in your KA Junior category. A former winner this season as well for Ryan Mort.
Yeah, that's going to shake up the equation absolutely, because here's the thing again, with a series like this, sometimes we've had some of those drivers appear, like AJ Stoner came in, won a race. Ryan Moore came in, won a heat race as well as a final. in 2 different occasions. Evan Patton missed a couple races this season. Amatsos with the win. So there's a lot of different drivers here who can shake things up. Diego Avalos, you can also throw into the mix, who, mind you, doesn't have any drops to rely upon. That winner yesterday, looking to maintain what he did yesterday and try and sweep the weekend. No driver has swept the weekend in KA Junior this season for wins in the heat and the final on both days.
Well, Avalos is looking to try to do that here today in the action as he currently holds pole position in that number 7 kart. We're watching him now as they approach up towards Daytona Corner. And as they do so, they'll head down into the hairpin. Good run coming through these competitors, and apologies, that is not Ryan Avalos. That is a couple of different karts right there, trying to get the numbers off those two. It seems to be Galen right there, along with Mort right in the hunt as they head across the line. Avalos does not improve, neither does Mort or anyone else, and Ryan Mort now comes across the line and improves to a 51.18, 4/10 of a second ahead of Andrew Avalos.
Yeah, and I think that kind of just showcases whenever we've seen Mort, he's been a contender. It's going to be difficult to beat that driver here today. Elijah Matz in Vegas has also looked pretty solid. Amatsos in the top 5, I've noticed here, consistently running in the 52-second bracket. Going to be one of the drivers battling, I think, for 3rd or 4th here today. But that 812, it's just blistering around this track. And I'm not saying that just because of the temperatures. Mort, amongst those that has appeared all throughout the scene whenever we've seen him on the racetrack, has put up some strong moves in races whenever he's performed. Amongst those who's also very active on social media, who's made it clear that he likes to sit down and think whenever he's in his favorite place, the go-kart.
Absolutely, as we keep an eye on the rest of this checkered flag about to come out for some of our competitors, and this will conclude qualifying for your KA Junior category. Let's see if anyone has anything left. Avalos and Galen will be the first ones to cross the line here. And can they have any little bit left in the tank to try and take pole position away from Ryan Mort? Coming through the final couple of corners there, you see the 812 of Ryan Mort. Checker flag across the line. No improvement for Avalos or Galen. Matson Vegas does not improve. Ward Laser moves up into 7th. Lapin and Ryan Mort, well, let's just say he breaks the 50-second bracket with a 50.960.
Not a bad qualifying session for the field to be able to help set things up here today. But it's going to be competitive to be able to try and battle, I think, amongst the top 3. It's just going to be a matter of how things stack up, especially against Ryan Mort.
Absolutely. It is. Ryan Mort is going to have to be absolutely hitting his marks, and hopefully Avalos and Galen can kind of work it out to where it's like, you know what, we need to work together, try to take the fight to Ryan Mort if we have anything for him as they make their way through. But I'm pretty sure they're going to go take a look into the systems, the timing, see what they can do to make adjustments on their driving skills in order to make sure they take that fight to Ryan Mort, because Ryan Mort is going to be the fan favorite here today.
I think so, absolutely, especially since he's got about hit percentage of 33% in finals. But this next class of drivers, it's going to be the 2006 Senior Lights, ready to shake things down. And this has been Braden Heater's Playhouse all year. Up until last 2 races, not just that, but also round 6, he had swept the first 5.5 straight rounds in victory lane.
Yes, indeed. Of course, the last couple of winners was Levi Wilbur, and then, of course, yesterday's winner, Adam Maxwell, who took home another victory, looking to try to see if he can sweep the weekend as well with both the pole, the heat race win, and the victory as they make their way out onto the track. 11 karts total for today. And, of course, a couple of new faces, Zachary Allen, Ethan Williams, we see out there on the track. And As they make their way for the first couple of flying laps, we will see how this all plays out. Into the hairpin they'll go as they make their way into the infield section. We watch on the 506 of Wilbur, looking to try to see if he can go for pole, as one kart a little bit late to the party finally makes his way out on the track with under 4 minutes to go. Across the line, a 56.62 for Levi Wilbur. And that is a 1.2 second difference right now for him as Ethan Williams goes up to P2. We'll wait to see what Braden Heber and company are able to accomplish, as Adam Maxwell P2 with a 56.91. And just waiting on Braden Heber, who moves up to P8. Slow start for him in qualifying, but we still have a lot of bit of qualifying time left on the clock with 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, still lots of time to be able to actually set the fast lap times around here. Know that the tires is a band here, but Heber starting low on the pylon, trying to keep the tires cool to be able to launch forward at Maxwell. Seen how competitive Maxwell was earlier in the morning sessions in that 41 card as well. But it's going to be the 8 that you have to keep an eye on. Needs to get 2 seconds quicker in terms of response to on the other side of the racetrack right now. So far, seems to be one of the final drivers to be able to set times here. Has not been able to populate up the racetrack, and will do
There he
now
is.
populate, only driving the 55s.
55.835 for Braden Heber, your new fast time with 2.5 minutes to go. And he is really kicked in the afterburners right now as we wait to see if anyone can break into the 55s. Maxwell or Wilbur could have the chance. Caden Warp, how about him up into the top 5 with a 4th place starting position currently, with Williams and Colin Hardings picking up 4 spots as they break into the top 10. 2 minutes to go.
A lot of time for things to swap around, but I think Heber is going to be, again, the one to beat in this 206 light. That kart is just so difficult to actually outpace, just based on the amount of experience he's got. And in this region, whether it's here, whether it's over at Cincinnati, he's usually in the conversation for the race win no matter what amongst these drivers here. So less than 90 seconds to work with here. I think it's going to be the response of how will the rest of these drivers settle themselves in to see where they shape up in a minute.
Keeping an eye here on the action here with just about a minute to go left on the clock. They should have about one more lap left in the tank for them. Levi Wilbur comes across the line, improves but does not gain position, as here comes Maxwell, Heber, and the rest of the field. Colton Kelly, Goldman, no improvements there with Petrie, Goldman, or Allen. Kelly does not improve on positioning. Maxwell does not gain any time. Wharf and Justiano. How about Colin Harding up a couple of spots into the top 10? And Braden Heber, I think, now just going to try to chill it out a little bit with 30 seconds to go, take the checkered flag, and I think it's safe to say he's comfortably has the pole position on the hand.
Yeah, at this point, I think Heber's in the zone that he wants to be for later on. Now, for the rest of these drivers, it's will we see Levi Wilbur be able to shake things up? I think that's a good chance there. Maxwell, I think, has good race pace in the kart. Colton Kelly keeping an eye on screen, making his way through the final sector. Once the drivers that needs to pick things up, 56 sixes last time by, but the checker flag waves as they now get themselves sorted out in the order.
How about this? Levi Wilbur was able to get across the start-finish line before the checkered flag was out, so he technically still has one more lap. A change up in second as Caden Wharf moves up to P2, but I'm wanting to keep an eye on Levi Wilbur. He still has that extra lap. I don't know if he's going to come in or not, but he might be able to pull something out of the hat and have that one extra lap to get around for him at the moment and try to move back to P2 or snag the pole.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for these drivers here at this point. As there's the checker flag now waving. No change.
No gain.
56-2.
Tough break right there. With that, we are going to step aside. This concludes our free coverage here for Kart Chaser on the IKC event at Whiteland. And we are going to step aside, go behind the paywall for your heat races and features. $9.99 a month. You can catch the afternoon sessions along with some of the other biggest shows in karting, such as the United States Pro Kart Series, the MCC Pro-Am Cup, as well as also the big show for the month of August. It is the IAME Grand Nationals later on at the end of the month. So it's $9.99 a month. You can join us and catch all of Kart Chaser's action later on in the month of August. For Justin Prince, I'm Taylor Burris. We'll be back shortly for heat races and feature events live on Kart Chaser.
Come on, man.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Junior.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy.